How's it going, everybody? My name is Joshua Bishop, and I'm a student at Sonoran Desert Institute. This video is for my Week 8 final project for my course FTT 111. It's the Firearms Inspection and Troubleshooting course. For our final project, we had to do the fastener repair lab, and basically, I've done a little work off camera. But as you can see, I've took my aluminum block, sectioned it off into 3 sections, marked the center on the length, and then marked the center on the width, and then divided that in half. Then we drilled and tapped each hole to accept these Philister screws, which brings us to our next segment. So, I didn't see any specific instructions that said to drill blind holes, so I did go all the way through the block. And our first screw, it seems, let's see, our first one we're going to put in our third hole here. We're going to thread it in. And this one's to simulate damaged screw heads. So we've got that tight. Let's get it tight with the proper screwdriver. Alright, and one way you may see this damage, we're going to use a tool that you might see used in the field. Just got your standard Leatherman here with a screwdriver blade that is almost the same, but you can see it's slightly smaller. It's too small for the screw, for sure. And we're going to try to damage this screw head. Let's damage both sides. I don't know if you can pick this up on camera. You can a little bit. You can see the raw metal. Our next step is I'm going to take and run. I've got just a half round file here. It's a larger file than what's provided. They provide needle files and much larger files. But we're going to take this half round and we're going to kind of cut the burrs off the top of the screw, just the top of the screw head. Lightly so we don't take too much material. See if we can't back this out just a hair. Right. So basically what we've done there is we've cut the burr off of the top. So now the only burr that's going to be left is going to be in the slot of the screw. And the best file that I've found is this triangle shaped file that's got teeth on the one side. And that allows us to get in the slot and file the burrs off of just the one side of the wall. So we'll do that a couple times. Flip it around. Go this direction on this side a couple times. Most files, I'm not sure about these, most files are cut in a way that they only work in one direction, a single direction on the forward stroke. See a lot of people that'll saw with their files and all you're doing is rolling over your edges, rolling over your teeth and destroying your file doing that. So always go with the forward stroke. Alright. So we've got that down pretty smooth. Yeah, looks good. The next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take the screw completely out. Set our block to the side, set our center punch to the side. And we're just going to chuck the screw up, making sure it stays concentric in the center of the chuck and not tightening it down so tight that we mess up the threads. I'm going to take just a block of wood, scrap piece of wood, I'm going to wrap some sandpaper around it to give us a support. And then with a medium to, I wouldn't say too high of a speed, just going to polish the head of the screw. Take a look at that. We still got just a little black on there, so all right, that looks good. All right, so we'll take our 500 grit paper off, wrap our block with 1000 grit, see how that looks at the end. And same process, we're just going to polish the entire head of the screw all the way around on the top there. And this is our screw head. Just unchuck it. See, our threads are still in good shape, but the head of our screw has no more of that black color on it. All of it shiny means it's all down to the same level, more or less. And the screw is uniform. So next we're going to take some Birchwood KC Perma Blue, permanent gun blue, liquid gun blue. We're just going to take a Q-tip, dip it in there. We're going to paint it on the head of the screw. We should see a color change pretty rapidly. Paint it in there really good. And let that dry for a moment. Alright, so this has already got a pretty good gray color going for it. It's kind of more of a, I'd say more of a bronze color. So we're going to dip again and apply a second coat. See if we can get a little darker. And let that sit to dry as well. Alright, we're going to do one more coat on this. This will be the third coat. I've just got this lightly threaded into the block for this portion. Should have been doing that before. Make sure it's nice and wet. Everything's coated. Let that sit and dry. Alright, so after about 3 coats, you can see that a little better with the contrast of the aluminum behind it. We've got a pretty decent color there. It's pretty much matched to the original color. Now the next problem we might run into, oh, dropping my tools. The next problem we might run into as a gunsmith is cross threads. And basically what that is when someone puts a screw in, crooked. I'm not going to be able to do it now that I'm trying to. Just stand at an angle and thread it down. Just a few threads. And this is what a cross thread looks like. You can see the screw is not straight in line with the threads. And what that does is, in this aluminum, the steel screw will cut new threads into the aluminum block. So we've pretty much smashed all of the threads on this side of this hole. So our fix for that is basically, normally you would go up a screw size, but in this case, since all of our screws are the same size, we're going to try to recut the threads in this hole and repair them. And I don't have machine oil, so I'm using the Hoppy's number 9 lubricating oil. So what we have here is our 6-48 tap, and we're just going to recut the threads. We've got our little bit of oil in the hole. Keeping our tap straight up and down, it should ride in the first couple threads that we had before. Using just a slight amount of pressure, we're going to recut through that threaded area where the threads are mashed, and it's going to basically take the material out of the flat spot and move it back into a thread shape. Alright, so we're cut through the damaged threads. I'm going to run it all the way down because it seems like this tap gets a little fatter in the center. Alright, so all the way down, all the way back out. And then we'll try it with our next screw. Pardon me, we'll put the same screw back in this hole. Now, in the event that the receiver or whatever you're putting the screw in or fixing the screw happens to be a harder steel than the screw, which is unlikely, you may have to recut the threads on the screw. And in that case, you wouldn't use the tap, but you would need the corresponding 6-48 die. Let's see if we can thread this back in straight. And if we're able to do that, the screw will go all the way through the block. And yes, we are. The screw head is flush with the block. That confirms our successful repair of those threads. So we're taking our next screw, and we're going to run it in here. And sometimes screws can be difficult to remove. We've tried everything we can. Tried the PB blaster, the creeping oils, tried heat, and nothing just seems to be working to remove the screw. So what's your next resort? Is just to break the screw off. You've got to remove the part. The screw head's out of the way, the part can most likely come out. But now you're left with this broken off screw and a hole, and chances are, manufacturers don't put screws where they don't need to be. It's there for a reason. It's going to affect the way your firearm operates in some way, shape, or form. So you're left with just a stud, a threaded stud, basically. And the fix for that, you see it doesn't have a flat top. So we're going to take just our half round file, again, the same one we used before. And we're going to attempt to flatten the top of this screw. Now that we're mostly flat, we'll come back with the needle file, the same one as before. Why not? Just ensure that we're getting a flat surface on the top of that. So as you can see, we've got a pretty flat top on that. So what we'll do next is we'll take our center punch and we'll make a mark, an indentation, just about the center of that screw. If I can get it lined up here. And that's left us with a dimple in the screw, a quite visible dimple. So next, what we'll do is we'll go back to our handy drill and chuck up our center drill bit, ground center bit. And then a little oil. We will attempt to start a small hole in the center of this. We are going to chuck up the 5/64 jobber bit. So we're going to chuck this up. I'm going at a slower speed, small bit, slow speed. Going to go right in the center. Going to chuck up our screw extractor here. Street term is the easy out. See if their hole is big enough yet. Okay, looks like we need to go just a little deeper on that. Check to see if we're deep enough. Looks like just a little deeper. There's still a little oil in there. All right, back this out. Try it again. And with a little pressure. So it seems, I don't know if I just didn't go deep enough, but this didn't really bite inside the hole. I suppose that's not the important part. The important part is our screw is out. Did we damage our hole? We did not. All right, everyone. Like I said, this has been Joshua Bishop and my Week 8 final project for FTT 111, Firearms Inspection and Troubleshooting. And that will conclude this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.